Good evening, everyone, and welcome. I call the City Council Committee of the whole meeting for Wednesday, October 16th to order. A lot of things going on in the world, so we'll have a moment of silence for you to think about whatever it is you'd like to think about. Thank you. If you'd all please stand and join Alderman Jobson in leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Alderman Jobson. Mr. Krupp, if you call the roll for tonight, please.
Ardon. Here. Kelly. Here. McGinnis.
Here.
Reinhardt.
Here.
Grip.
Here.
Newton.
Here.
Lynch. T-Dunn.
Here.
Jobjid. Here. And Burkholder.
Here.
9 present, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. So again, welcome. Good evening, everyone. Let's begin the meeting of the City Council Committee of the Whole. I'd like to welcome everybody in attendance and anybody who's participating through any particular electronic device. We respectfully welcome your opinions and comments, but please keep in mind that as you share your thoughts, you're sharing them with your fellow Davenporters, anybody throughout the region. We're certainly happy you're participating in your city government, but ask that your participation please reflect the common desire we all share to make Davenport a better place. For folks in here, if you'd be kind enough to put your cell phone on silent or turn it off, simply that it doesn't get in the way of anybody talking. If you want to address the council on any particular agenda item or at the end, when you're called, please come to the podium. The microphone's above you. Love to know your name, ward, or address. And if you're not from here, we'd love to know where you're from. Please address the council as a body and not to any one individual. We'll be respectful of you. Please be respectful of us. Thank you very much. Ms. Gleason, do we have any updates tonight?
Nothing this evening, Your Honor.
Very good. We have 5 public hearings, 3 under community development and 2 under public works. Community development is chaired by Alderman Grip and Alderman Reinhardt. Alderman Reinhardt will lead these tonight. Alderman Reinhardt, please.
Thank you. This evening I have 3 items for public hearing. First item is public hearing on amending and expanding the North Urban Renewal Area Plan to include Fair Oaks Foods Project Wards 2, 6, 7, and 8. Any comments from the public? Please come forward. Your name, where you live.
Judith Lee, Second Ward. Once again, we're dealing with a situation where there is not enough information. We've had this problem now, we're going on multiple city administrators, and yet the public is expected to comment at public hearings. For this one, I don't have enough information for, I don't understand, and I'm hoping that someone on council will ask staff for clarification on this. An internal advance of TIF funding for $275,000 to reimburse staff and economic development related activity. Who is this for? $275,000. Who is the staff? Why are we doing TIFs to pay for staff and staff work? Is this related only to Fair Oaks? And it says it's for economic research tools and training as well. And then if you go on, it talks about the proposed debt to be incurred in the urban renewal area, $6.4 million. I'm not an economist, but I don't understand what we're doing here. What are we trying to do? Looking at the parcel, it looks like it's Fair Oaks. So I'm asking someone here to ask staff to please explain what is going on with this in plain language so we can understand what the $275,000 is for and what the $6.4 million is for. Thank you.
Anyone else from the public? Council? Oh, sorry. Second item? Seeing no one, I close this, move to close this public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next item, public hearing on amending the North Urban Renewal Plan to include the internal TIF wards 2, 6, 7, and 8. Public with comment.
Judith Lee, Second Ward, and since all of these are related, you'll see me 3 times. So it's anticipated you'll adopt an ordinance providing for the division of property tax revenues based on the Fair Oaks, recognizing that some of this property tax is going to go to North Scott. But it doesn't make that clear, but we know that that's true based on the location of this. Again, it shows up with a 6.4 million. I don't understand it, so I'm hoping again that you will have someone come up and explain what is going on here in plain language, so we can all understand it. There's not enough here for me to make informed comments. And thank you very much.
Anyone else from the public? Seeing no one else, I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed? Next one, I open public hearing for item number 3, public hearing on approving an economic development agreement with Fair Oaks Foods, Ward 8. Is there a public with comment?
Judith Lee, Second Ward. I said I'd be here 3 times. This one gives me more pause. We are talking about a forgivable loan of $1.1 million for an on-site pretreatment facility. I know we've done one of these pretreatment facilities up in this area for another company that dealt with gelatin. And I understand that the city needs, because of concerns with our wastewater treatment plant, when you're dealing with these kinds of meat products, we are now expecting some kind of on-site pretreatment before that water goes to our wastewater treatment plant. It sounds to me, since it's a forgivable loan of 1.1 million, this is actually tied to the operation of our wastewater treatment plant, but it's not being dealt with as such because the purpose of this is to do wastewater treatment plant on-site, wastewater treatment before it goes to the plant. We've also got a rebate estimated at over $5 million. And it says that serves as a required match to the Iowa Economic Development Authority. And it goes again to that, here's that 6.4 million over the city's approximate obligation. This is a lot of money. And this is tied to our standard operations of the plant as well, because of the forgivable loan of 1.1 million for on-site pretreatment. Again, I don't have enough information. It's not clear to me. I'm asking you folks to ask staff for all 3 of these when it comes up for a vote to please come up and in plain language explain what is going on here that involves what looks like $7 million plus a rebate estimated at 5.2 million. We're talking some real money here that I don't understand. And I think it needs to be clear before you vote on this. And perhaps it should go on discussion. Thank you.
Anyone else? Come on, step forward. Name and where you live, please.
Mary Maher, Ward 2. I just listened to Judith Lee ask 3 different times for some discussion and clarification, and there's been none. And I think we all came down here to hear that, so I'm really sad we haven't. Thank you.
I'll explain. So this is public hearing time. We don't engage with anyone. We just sit here and we listen to your comments. This will come back here very shortly on the agenda, and that's when you'll hear comments from the comment.
Anyone else? I close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. I close public hearings for all items. Back to you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Alderman Reiners. Next is Public Works. We have 2 public hearings. They'll be led by Alderman Rick Dunn and Alderman Tim Kelly. Alderman Rick Dunn, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. Open the first public hearing on the plan specification form of contract and estimated cost for the West Loop Trail Phase 1 project. Is there anyone from the public wishing to address this public hearing? Seeing none, I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. This public hearing is closed. I open the second public hearing on the plan specification form of contract and estimated cost for the Modern Woodman Park Concrete and Flood Maintenance Repair Project. Is there anyone from the public wishing to address this item? Seeing none, I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. This public hearing is closed, and back to you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Alderman Rick Dunn. The next is petitions and communications. Anyone have anything tonight? Alderman Kelly.
Thank you. So I would like to say that I was elected to be alderman to do what the constituents asked me to do and or just to listen. And I have lived through the backlash of Tom Warner, Corey Spiegel, the silencing of Judith Lee, Derek Cornett. So now this new investigation upon me and these diabetes, this new investigation upon me is really interesting when the city doesn't have answers for me, but I have questions for this investigation that's upon me when I feel like it's some form of retaliation because I have put out investigations in February of this year, but now we have investigations on Alderman Kelly. So I've sat silent long enough, and I know you guys hate that I don't tell stuff because I'm not a media clickbait. So when I get on social media, I get on social media to be funny, but I have no reason to sit back and lie and or hide my hand when it comes to things that the city is doing to me that I keep telling you guys. None of my counterparts have asked me about all these police calls that I've gotten throughout the city. I don't just work in people's wards because I want, people are seeing that I am either A, working or I'm being, right now I feel like it's retaliation, but I'm actually fighting for the city. And I'm not saying that these guys aren't, they are, but you have the right to know what's going on in your city by asking me about. I have several police calls, not 1 or 2. I have over 7 police calls where people are reaching out to me that they feel like they've been some form of injustice, some way, somehow. So these are folks that I'm trying to get with Blado, but he has a lot going on. But the DOJ has reached out to me. What does that tell you when the Department of Justice reaches out to you as opposed to your counterparts because they see the things that you're going through? So I say all that to say this. It's interesting that these complaints are all over the city, and I did use the words at large, and then there was notes on that end of the table. Who is he talking about? Only one person had the sense enough to come ask me, because I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna tell you who I'm talking about. If you wanna know something, ask me. This is not Tim Kelly's city, this is the city of Davenport. So when I was elected to help and fight for everybody, just not downtown Davenport and 53rd and Elmore and Utica Ridge. There is a whole city that wants the same treatment and same, we just want what everybody else wants. You know what I'm saying? Why do we have to sit here and debate on giving a grocery store to the West End? Why is that a debate? Why do they need to drive? A lot of those folks don't have cars. And why do we have, I don't want to put people on blast yet, but it's coming. If I can't ask you a question and I can't get a definitive answer to help me in the position that I'm in, but when it's time for the position that I'm in, you guys tell me I serve in a political capacity. So it's like you're passing the buck at the city level. So you're telling me, screw you, dude, screw you. So you're out there, good luck to you. Hope you can survive that. But just know that I'm done, that if y'all need names, I don't talk to the news, I don't talk to the newspaper. I can let y'all know, like, this code of ethics, that's for me. Y'all better recognize that's for me. Why y'all think I sat on the committee? Because it's for me. It's for me. It's a way to put an aim on somebody that just because I open up my mouth to speak up for, I spoke up for Dave Heller. Dave Heller is a millionaire. And I spoke up for the young lady that her dog got rid of. So I will speak up from the CEO to the janitor. I'm not that guy that you need to say, I'll call the mayor. Call the mayor. You want his number? I'm not that guy. I'm speaking up for any and everybody that calls me. So I just want y'all to know, y'all better pay attention. Y'all better pay attention, because this is where the mouth would get slick. I'm gonna be good. There's just some BS that's afloat. And if when it look like BS and it smell like BS, it's BS. It is what it is. I'm not gonna sit up here and smile and shuck and jive. I've told y'all, I don't know how to dance. That ain't my routine. I'll leave that to Rita Rawson and Sheila Burge. Once again, I will name drop them, because that's what they do, shuck and jive in their face and do what they ask them to do. I don't do that. I was voted in. And guess how I'm gonna get put out? I'm gonna get voted out. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderwoman McGinnis.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just one thing, the third ward meeting will be at its regular time, Monday at 6:30 here in council chambers. I am still working on our guest, if we'll have a guest, or maybe we'll just sit and chat. But anyway, that is Monday night, 6:30, here at council chambers, October 21st. I hope to see you then. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Alderman Tim Dunn.
Thank you. I'll be hosting a second ward meeting on October 26th from 6:30 to 7:30 at the Fairmount Community Center. I hope you can attend. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, moving on to the areas for discussion. They are community development, public works, finance, and public safety. The first one's community development. Alderman Grip and Alderman Reinhardt will discuss. Alderman Reinhardt, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. Before we get to the items under community development, I'd like to take a point of privilege. Alderman Newton has asked me for a moment to speak. I'd like to give her option, and then I will be tabling item number 4. What? Go ahead. Item number 1. Third consideration. No, wait a minute.
Just take them in order.
I know that, but one of my colleagues asked to have an opportunity to speak. Okay. Your Honor, I have 5 items. Item number 1, third consideration, ordinance for case RO 24-04, being the request of Jack's Home Improvement Company to vacate the unimproved right-of-way located west of Marquette Street between West 6th Street and Mid-Block Alley, Ward 3. Any public with comment? Counsel? This item will move on. Item number 2, first consideration, ordinance providing for the division of taxes levied on taxable property in the North Urban Renewal Area pursuant to section 403.19 of the Code of Iowa, Ward 8. Any public with comment?
Judith Lee, second ward. And again, for this one, number 2, and number 3, I'm asking again for somebody to get more information from staff. Thank you.
Would somebody like to come up and comment? Is there any other public with comment first? Okay.
Bruce Berger, Community and Economic Development. So item number 2, this ordinance is just starting, so it's, there'll be 2 more cycles of it. It does relate to actually 2 of the public hearings that were on previously this agenda. And it's related to the Fair Oaks Foods Project. So just kind of for clarification anyway, that one of the hearings actually expands the area to include it. And then the third public hearing is, and both of them are required under state code, is a public hearing on the economic development agreement once that area has been added. So the item that's before you now, the first consideration, is related to the Fair Oaks Foods project. This is something we talked about a couple of cycles ago. It was a previous 2022 TIF project that was approved. This is the bacon plant, if you will, out in the northern area of the industrial park, Eastern Iowa Industrial Center. As what was related, there's a pre-treatment component to it. And that is something that does benefit our water pollution control plan and our sewer system. It is fairly standard, and as we mentioned actually just yesterday with our TIF presentation, it's something we've been doing and it's fairly common to do with TIF projects too, while they're coming forward and generating something that we can actually use their economic development engine of producing something with value to then add to our infrastructure. And so that's what's happening in this case, is the pre-development will, it's coming around as a result of the project, so that's why the need. But then, yeah, the balance of that is related to the incentive to the company.
Thank you. Comments from council? Alderman McGinnis?
Thank you. Bruce, if you could stay up, please. Thank you. If you could, I just want to clarify some things. So this came before the people on council who were on council in 2022, is that correct?
Right.
And were these items voted on? Or were some were and some weren't? Can you clarify what was voted on and what wasn't?
Sure.
What's different?
This is the exact agreement. I mean, there's the main changes are due to timing. And so in 2022, and I'm sorry, yeah, you're right. We summarized this a little bit a few cycles ago, but yeah, for clarity and for those present now, the agreement was approved, project actually started, and then due to some of the cost overruns, COVID, those sorts of things with materials, they ended up not being able to get the project rolling in time. They've now got the financing together. Project costs increased substantially for them, but this agreement is the exact same financial arrangement that was made before, but because the previous arrangement, we always have timetables that are due for the project to meet those, they weren't able to meet those timetables. So all this is really bringing back to the city council the agreement that has updated timetables. So I think it has them completing, and I forgot, I apologize, it's not right in front of me, but it's roughly a 2-year roll forward of those dates. So.
Is there any change to this probably, we'll talk about number 3. I'll ask you about number 3 next. But so do you remember when in 2022 we worked on this? Do you remember when we approved this? That's information we can get for next week, I'm sure. So
Yeah,
we'll get that
and-
information to see when we voted on it and
And we've
how
got
that vote went.
2
Okay.
more cycles too for,
Okay.
yeah, as an
Right,
ordinance.
okay,
So.
thank
Yep.
you.
Any other comments? Alderman Kelly.
Bruce, so while you're getting information from that, who cares what we voted on? Why don't you just get the information that the folks are asking for? So therefore, when you send that stuff back to us, it'll be easier to regurgitate that information and get it back out to our constituents. I don't care what I voted on.
It's in the agreement.
I understand that, but I'm just saying, just get the information that folks are just asking for, so therefore we can actually know how to get this information disseminated back out to the folks, that's all.
It's in the
'Cause
agreement.
I understand that, but I'm just saying, I'm not worried about a vote. As long as the agreement is made available that we can get this information back out to people, that's all I'm asking for. Thank you, sir.
Bruce, one more, if you could explain to everybody here where that agreement is available.
Yeah, the agreement's online.
Right, is it
and
part of this agenda,
Part
correct?
of this agenda attached to this very item. Yep.
Okay, thank you very much.
Anyone else from council? This item will move on. Item number 3, resolution approving an internal advance to the tax increment fund for administrative costs, wards 2, 6, 7, and 8. Anybody from the public wishing to comment?
Well, I'm not sure, Judith Lee, second word, in case you weren't sure. I'm not sure I got my questions answered, and I was a little surprised at the tone, to be perfectly honest. Again, I'd like to know this internal advance, who it's for, it's $275,000, why we need it for tools and training and all that. I just like to make sure that that does not fall through the cracks. And I don't feel satisfied with the answers we've already gotten.
Anybody else? No more comment on this item, we'll move on. Council?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, I have a question. So to respond to that, could someone come, I would assume it would be Mr. Berger, to talk about the internal advance and how this process works, how often we do this, what the legal basis for it is?
Sure. Bruce Berger, Community and Economic Development again. The internal advance for from the tax increment fund supports a lot of the behind-the-scenes actions throughout the year that staff from various departments do with regard to administering TIF funds that have been approved, with marketing when we have inquiries that come in, as well as all the reporting requirements through finance and that are annually due to the state. And I think a comment was made regarding training, same kind of thing. There are from time to time some trainings that come along that staff need to be apprised of. It was recommended, and I want to say it's been at least a decade or so ago, maybe longer, by our bond counsel, essentially from the public finance standpoint, a lot of those costs, while they could be funded out of the general fund, a more natural payment source should be out of TIF funds, because those TIF resources are used for administering to all the myriad TIF requirements. So bond counsel recommended that, and so annually we've been doing that for roughly the last 10 years or so to accommodate that and lessening some of the impact on the general fund.
So will we see this again this year, or do you do this once a year?
Once a year. It does require the public hearing, and so that's why you saw the public hearing on that. How it differs from the 3 readings for the Fair Oaks project is that's for new projects, the state has requirements, and they're a little bit longer than what you have to go through. With an internal advance like this, it can be done in a single action, and so that's why it's being done at this point. And then if this were approved, and when it has gotten approved in past years, that needs to be reported to the state by, I think it's December 1st each year.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Alderman Kelly?
Thank you. So, no disrespect, I think a lot of my constituents and folks are asking because something didn't happen and now it's trying to be pushed to happen. So they want an explanation of that. And if it was the city and it wasn't, you're explaining that it was on their behalf and that costs have gone up due to COVID and stuff like that. So they're just looking for an answer. If it didn't happen the first time, why are we willing to do it now? Something to that effect. I know that sounds,
Sure.
you know what I mean?
Yep. Well, and I can speak, I know it's not probably this item, but I can speak to that definitely, or we can talk after the meeting.
For sure,
Yeah,
but
well,
I'm saying that's what I'm getting a lot of as well. So I don't want to keep doing this tit for tat, but that's what a lot of folks they're not.
Not making the connection.
Yeah.
Yep, I get you.
Thank you, sir.
This item will move on. Item number 4. Before I read it, I received a number of inquiries, and I think this particular item is so intricate that I would like to table it for 2 cycles. I am now making a motion to table item number 4.
Second?
All in favor?
There's no discussion of a table, so call the vote.
Call the vote, please.
Burkholder,
Yes.
Jobson,
Yes.
T. Dunn,
Yes.
Newton,
Yes.
Grip. No. Reinhardt,
Yes?
McGinnis,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
and Ardon.
Yes.
8 yeses and 1 no, Your Honor.
The item is tabled. Moving on, item number 5, resolution setting a public hearing on the proposed conveyance of vacated portion of the unimproved Marquette Street located south of West 76th Street to the Waste Commission of Scott County, petitioner Ward 8. Public with comment?
Judith Lee, Second Ward, there's a lot of things I'm interested in this week. I thought that we had already voted to convey this. I support it because it's tied to the landfill that's up in that area after they close the old dump down at Betts Memorial Park. They need this land for a buffer, but I thought we had already voted on that, and I'm just asking why it's come up again, because it's very important that it happen.
Any other public with comment? Council? Alderwoman Newton? Alderman Kelly?
I was just asking, is this a donated piece of land, or is this something that is going to be paid for? Thank you.
Laura Berkeley, Development Neighborhood Services. So this is, the Waste Commission of Scott County is another governmental agency, so this would be at $1 cost. So it actually is their landfill itself. It was related to some surveying errors that shouldn't have ever been right away in the first place, so we're correcting that. So we're not going to charge them for it.
Thank you. Any other comments? This item will move on. I'm going to ask Alderwoman McGinnis set the agenda. Yeah.
So I would make a motion to place items 1, 3, and 5 on the consent agenda, and item 2 on discussion. And item 4, of course, is tabled, so.
Do I have a motion? And a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any opposed? This concludes the community development. Back to you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Alderman Reinhardt. The next area to discuss is public safety. Alderman Jobson and Alderman Tim Dunn will discuss. Alderman Jobson, please.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Before I begin public safety, sorry for the clunkiness. A group of us talking the other night learned about a little technique when things maybe go awry. I'd like to ask a question of our corporation counsel. Corporate Counsel Huff, a lot of times before something's tabled, we give an opportunity for there to be discussion. The technique we talked about, I forget the exact wording, would this be a time where we could utilize that to bring that up for reconsideration, to have some discussion and then table it again, or is it just tabled now and in the ether? Sorry to put you on point.
You're right. Traditionally, there would be time for a discussion for a motion to table. You could insert that with a motion for discussion before the vote happens, because procedurally we're past the vote now.
Okay.
It is tabled for now. Tabling, or in this case, I guess it's a point of procedure. So there's 2 motions that this could be, because the Robert's rules is a little difficult to interpret sometimes. So there's a motion to lay on the table, which just sets it aside for some other time at the meeting. And then there's more traditionally what people think of as a motion to table, which is also known as a motion to postpone. And a motion to postpone without a certainty date attached to it basically kills anything for that motion for the rest of the session. So when you do a motion to postpone, you can add a time stamp to it to say, I move to do it later in the meeting, or you can leave it open, which basically, after the vote, makes it something off the agenda for tonight, it would have to be put on agenda in the future.
Okay, thank you. I have an inclination to just leave it where it lies, and I think we're going to have a future discussion, but thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. So with that, I apologize. I will read the public safety agenda. Item number 1 is a resolution approving street, lane, and public ground closure requests on the listed dates and times for outdoor events. I'll read each of these before asking for comment. First, Madison Elementary School Trunk or Treat, 116 East Locust Street, 3 p.m. to 7:30 p.m., Thursday, October 24th, 2024. Closure, East Pleasant Street from Brady Street to Perry Street. Next, Lisa Rush Halloween Block Party, 1423 East 34th Street, 4 p.m. to 9 p.m., Saturday, October 26, 2024. Closure, East 34th Street from Mississippi Avenue to 1411 East 34th Street. Next, Project Renewal, 50th Anniversary Celebration and Ribbon Cutting, 513 Warren Street, 3 p.m. to 6 p.m., Friday, November 1, 2024. Closure, Warren Street from West 5th Street to West 6th Street. Next, Tom Simmons Veterans Day Parade, downtown, 7 a.m. to 12 p.m., Monday, November 11th, 2024. Closures beginning at 7 a.m., Western Avenue from West 5th Street to West 4th Street. Beginning at 10 a.m., Western Avenue from West 4th Street to West 2nd Street. West 2nd Street from Western Avenue to Main Street. Main Street from West 2nd Street to West 4th Street. West 4th Street from Main Street to the finish at Scott County Courthouse, 400 West 4th Street. And then last, Quad City Arts Festival of Trees Holiday Parade, downtown, 4 a.m. to 1 p.m., Saturday, November 23rd, 2024. Staging area closures beginning at 4 a.m., East 3rd Street from Pershing Avenue to LeClaire Street, Pershing Avenue and Iowa Street from East 2nd Street to East 4th Street. Parade route in place by 9:15 a.m., 3rd Street from Pershing Avenue to Scott Street, Scott Street from West 3rd Street to West 2nd Street, 2nd Street from Scott Street to the finish at Iowa Street. Is there anyone from public wishing to comment on any of these items? Anyone from council? Seeing none, that item will move on. Item number 2, motion approving noise variance requests on the listed dates and times for outdoor events. I'll read each of these before asking for comment. First, Tom Simmons Veterans Day Parade downtown, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., Monday, November 11th, 2024, outdoor music over 50 dBA. And next, Quad City Arts Festival of Trees Holiday Parade downtown, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., Saturday, November 23rd, 2024, outdoor music over 50 dBA. Is there anyone from public wishing to comment on either of these items? Seeing none, anyone from council? Seeing none, that item will move on. And then last is item number 3, motion approving beer and liquor license applications. All those listed under Section A are annual license renewals, which do not read but are there for review. Is there anyone from public wishing to comment on any of the license renewals? Council? Seeing none, then I would ask Alderman Tim Dunn to please set our agenda.
I'd like to make a motion to pull out all items of public safety on the consent agenda. Thank you.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That closes public safety. Back to you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Joshin and Alderman Tim Dunn. The next is Public Works. Alderman Rick Dunn and Alderman Kelly will discuss. Alderman Rick Dunn, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. We have a pretty lengthy agenda this evening. So item number 1 is a second consideration of an ordinance amending various sections of Title 8 entitled Health and Safety and Title 15 entitled Building and Construction of the Municipal Code of Davenport, Iowa to adopt the 2021 International Building Code, the 2021 International Residential Code, and the 2021 International Property Maintenance Code, and to incorporate recommendations from the code evaluation performed by the White Birch Group and SOTEC. Is there anyone from the public wishing to address this item? Council? Attorney Huff?
My issue is with a previous statement. Please continue with your agenda. I wanted to correct myself to Alderman Joshin. That's all. So please continue with your agenda and we can do it after.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Council. Alderman Kelly.
So the wording on this, I guess my question is, did we tighten up the wording on this? Because there was some issues that the wording was so vague.
That's correct, Alderman Kelly. We sent a memo with some of those wordings, but we have not finished that yet. So what I would recommend is at the next reading, we should have it ready, and Alderman Dunn or you can then make a motion to substitute.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Anyone else? Seeing none, this item will move on. Item number 2 is a second consideration of an ordinance amending Chapter 8.15 entitled Neighborhood Enhancement, Property Maintenance of the Municipal Code of Davenport, Iowa, to add requirements for rent abatement. Is there anyone from the public wishing to address this item?
I just have a question, LaShawn Dixon, Ward 7. My question is, can you to explain how long residents will have to wait for the rent abatement? Can y'all answer that for me? Well, ask. You can answer for me.
Anyone else? Do we have somebody from staff that can answer that question, please? Director Oswald.
Rich Oswald, Development Neighborhood Services. If I understand the question correctly, once staff is going through the rental inspection process and we get to the point where the 3 people review rent abatement request has ordered the rent abatement, that notice would be given to the tenant, the landlord, and that rent abatement would start based on that date within the notice and order. So it could be immediately, or it could be 5 days to get tenants notice. But we would work to make sure that timing is concurrent with rents and make sure that the tenants are fully educated and aware of when that starts and when it ends.
Thank you. Anyone from council? Seeing none, this item will move on. Item number 3 is a second consideration of an ordinance to repeal and replace Chapter 15.32 entitled International Fire Code of the Municipal Code of Davenport, Iowa, to allow for the comprehensive formatting changes to adopt the 2021 International Fire Code. Is there anyone from the public wishing to address this item? Council? Seeing none, this item will move on. Item number 4 is a resolution accepting work completed under the FY 2025 DOT Full Depth Patching Project by Langman Construction in the amount of $150,284. Is there anyone from the public wishing to address this item? Council? Seeing none, this item will move on. Item number 5 is a resolution approving change order number 3 in the amount of $400,000 to Langman Construction for the 2023-2024 sewer and manhole rehabilitation program. Is there anyone from the public wishing to address this item? Council? Seeing none, this item will move on. Item number 6 is a resolution approving change order number 1 in the amount of $102,250 to Midwest Concrete for the Lorton Place intersection at Lombard Street and Lorton Avenue reconstruction project. Is there anyone from the public wishing to address this item? Council? Seeing none, this item will move on. Item number 7 is a resolution awarding a contract for the Harrison Street and 15th Street traffic signal replacement project at Davenport Electric in the amount of $175,175. Is there anyone from the public wishing to address this item? Council? Seeing none, this item will move on. Item number 8 is a resolution approving the plan, specification, form of contract, and estimated cost for the West Loop Trail Phase 1 project. Is there anyone from the public wishing to address this item? Council? Seeing none, this item will move on. Item number 9 is a resolution approving the plan, specification, form of contract, and estimated cost for the Modern Woodland Park Concrete and Flood Maintenance Repair Project. Is there anyone from the public wishing to address this item? Council? Seeing none, this item will move on. Item number 10 is a resolution accepting the Energy Efficiency and Conservation Block Grant from the United States Department of Energy in the amount of $155,580. Is there anyone from the public wishing to address this item? Council? Seeing none, this item will move on, and then I'll read items 11 through 16 and then ask for comment. Item number 11 is a resolution assessing the cost of boarding up buildings at various lots and tracts of real estate. Item number 12 is a resolution assessing the cost of brush and debris removal at various lots and tracts of real estate. Item number 13 is a resolution assessing the cost of condemned property demolitions at various lots and tracts of real estate. Item number 14 is a resolution assessing the cost of tree removal at various lots and tracts of real estate. Item number 15 is a resolution assessing the cost of weed cutting at various lots and tracts of real estate. And item number 16 is a resolution assessing the cost of downtown streetscaping program improvements at various lots and tracts of real estate. Is there anyone from the public wishing to address any of those items? Council. Alderman Kelly.
Thank you. I have a question that I can sidebar with Bruce Berger on some issues that when I leave here, I'm going to meet with somebody that their house is up for I don't know how to describe it, that the city has reached out to them, taking their house back from them. So I don't know if you have time after this to go over some of this with me so I can know what I'm walking into. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? And item number 7 is the motion awarding an engineering services contract for the water pollution control plant blower replacement project to H.R. Green in the amount of $64,800. Is there anyone from the public wishing to address this item? Council? Seeing none, this item will move on. Alderman Kelly, would you set the agenda for us, please?
Be happy to. I would like to make a motion to move all 17 items to the consent agenda.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. And that concludes Public Works. And Attorney Huff, did you want to make a comment at this point? Hey.
Thank you. I wanted to amend my statement to Alderman Jojman's question about the motion to table. Because I am interpreting this as a motion to postpone, it is eligible for what is known as a motion to reconsider by someone on the prevailing side. So whoever voted aye to table it can bring it back as a motion to reconsider, which will then allow for debate because it suspends that decision until the motion to reconsider is handled. So if someone from the prevailing side wishes to have additional time to have debate on that, that motion can be brought forward.
Thank you. And that will conclude Public Works for this evening. Back to you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Alderman Rick Dunn and Alderman Tim Kelly. The next series, Finance, Alderwoman Newton and Alderwoman Lynch will discuss. Alderwoman Newton, please.
Prior to going on the finance agenda, I yield the floor to Alderman Jobson.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Chair. Then I would like to take the opportunity, if we can, if now is the appropriate time, to reconsider, to make the motion to reconsider the vote for setting the agenda items on community development. Would that be the way to do it, or, sorry, this is clunky, just so we can have the opportunity to talk. Thank you. I would like to make a motion to reconsider the tabling of item number 4 under the community development agenda.
Second.
Okay, so you have the floor, so I'll call. So there's a motion to reconsider the tabling, and there's a second. So Mr. Krupp, would you please call the motion to reconsider the table?
McGinnis,
No.
Grip,
Yes.
Jobson,
Yes.
Newton,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
T. Dunn,
Yes.
Reinhardt,
No.
Burkholder,
Yes.
and R. Dunn.
Yes.
Looks like 7 yeses and 2 nos, Your Honor.
Okay, so if it's all right, Mr. Huff, I'll let Finance go, and then we'll take this on, the reconsider for that table after Finance.
That's fine procedurally.
So Alderwoman Newton, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Tonight on the finance agenda, Alderwoman Burkholder and I have 7 items to discuss. The first item, resolution to fix a date for a public hearing on proposal to enter into an amended sewer revenue loan and disbursement agreement, and to borrow money thereunder in a principal amount not to exceed $7,485,000. Is there anyone from the public wishing to address this item? Please step forward, state your name, address, or ward.
Judith Lee, second ward. And on this one, I know it's for setting the hearing, and I am just requesting when this comes up for hearing to please provide more information. It talks about the $7.5 million for a certain water resource restoration project without ever identifying what we're spending $7.5 million for. So I'm requesting when you put together the information for the public and yourselves for the hearing, that the project be identified, the reason for the project, and why it's so important that we change a bond for the interest to go down, but the principal to go up, and how that works. So I'm just asking for more information when it comes time for the hearing. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? Council? Seeing none, this item moves on. Item number 2, resolution setting a public hearing on the proposed conveyance of a portion of city-owned property located at the 3200 block of Marquette Street to James M. Harlan, petitioner. Anyone from the public wishing to address this item? Council? Seeing none, this item moves on. Item number 3, resolution authorizing the interim finance director to make the appropriate interfund transfers for the city's FY 2024 financial records as required by the Iowa Administrative Code, City Finance Committee Agency Chapter 2. Anyone from the public wishing to address this item? Council? Seeing none, item 3 moves on. Item number 4, resolution approving an addendum to the towing services contract between Fred's Towing, Inc. and the City of Davenport. Is there anyone from the public? Council? This item moves on. Item number 5, resolution approving the purchase of 2 Class A fire pumpers to Reliant Fire Apparatus of Slinger, Wisconsin, in the approximate amount of $1,893,296. Anyone from the public wishing to address this item? Council? Seeing none, this item moves on. Item number 6, a resolution approving a payment of $183,120.39 to Tyler Technologies, Plano, Texas, for the annual licensing of the Munis software system for a period of November 1, 2024 through October 31st, 2025. Anyone from the public wishing to address this? Council? Seeing none, this item moves on. And last but not least, item number 7, motion approving a payment of $59,722 to Bi-State Regional Commission for the FY 2025 membership dues. Is there anyone from the public wishing to address this? Council? Seeing none, this item moves on. I would now ask Alderwoman Burkholder to please set the agenda.
I make a motion to move items 1 through 7 to the consent agenda.
I hear a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the agenda is set. I now yield the floor to you, Mayor.
Thank you, Alderwoman Newton. Okay, so the next, and I'll just do this. Are there any other ordinance or resolution motions? We've already established there is. So there's a motion on the floor to reconsider item number 4, tabling, and there is a second. Mr. Krupp, please call the roll for reconsideration. Did we call?
We already did.
We approved. I apologize. So is there any discussion from council folks? Seeing, okay, Alderman Jobson.
I guess I would just ask, so then if we're reconsidering, does public get first chance to make comment? I would ask our corporation counsel to get a chance to comment.
I'm fine, yes. I'm fine.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Public with comment.
Thank you very much, and thank you. Judith Lee, Second Ward. This is really important. I completely support the tabling. I think it's really important to look into this in detail. Up above this site, if you go up to where we now have the Y and the apartments, that site is contaminated. That is an old railroad maintenance site, if you look at the late 1800 maps. So there was a lot of coal and coal oil and those types of things that were released on that site. Plumes go down towards water, which is of course the Mississippi River. It's known that there's a coal oil plume underneath the Quad City Times building, and then it flows onto this site. And so it's known that there is a plume of contamination, at a minimum coal oil. I think that this should be tabled until there can be a phase 2 study under RCRA where there's actual sampling to find out where that plume is, what's in it, and the extent of that plume before we even consider allowing any development on that site. I think it's, as a matter of fact, I have a copy of a DNR document for where the Y, with the Y, because of the level of contamination that's up there from that old railroad site, maintenance site. So I think it's very important that we do the right thing, do a phase 2, study what's going on,
find out what's there, how bad it is, what the restrictions are, work with DNR, and then consider whether this site should be developed or not. But thank you very much for tabling it. I absolutely support it.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, Council, I see Alderman Joseph.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor, and thanks again to our Corporation Council for getting that squared away. I too support the tabling. You know, I just wanted to make sure we had an opportunity to talk. Definitely lots of questions around this site. I think we do need some more information. Look forward to get whatever information we can get and go from there. But thanks again for having an opportunity to just speak briefly.
Thank you, Alderman Joseph. Alderwoman Newton.
Thank you. I too support tabling of such matter, but I did have some comments and questions. My first comment is that I'm truly disappointed that a deal of this magnitude would come before the council without any prior briefing. A management update does not suffice. Council, or at least myself, I can speak as the finance chair and alderwoman at large, the first opportunity to even look at it being a Friday evening when the public sees it is not sufficient time. I mean, we have agendas that are very large, this one 335 pages, so it takes some time to get through. That said, I did review the agenda, and I have some questions. Now, whether or not those questions can be answered today, I'm not sure. I would expect staff to let me know if they can answer them from the floor, or if it's such that they need to bring back after the table, but I will be supporting a table. Those questions from my first review of the agenda, specifically pages 56 through 80. What are the hotel occupancy rates in the Quad Cities? And specifically, what are those in Davenport? Question number 2, what is our current downtown office vacancy rate? Question number 3, as the finance chair, I would want to know what the maximum financial exposure is for the city. I do not see a cap on the rebate of the hotel motel tax, and while it says partial and looking at the actual agreement, we're looking at a 75% for 10 years with no cap. I want to know what that turns out to essentially in dollars. Question number 4, has any other hotel project received this type of deal? Let's say in the last 20 years. If so, was it the same level of flagship, like an autograph collection? If so, I would want to know the specifics to what the deal were, and was it a new construction or a current construction? If the answer is no, then I would want to know why this deal. And then question number 5, sidewalk. I see that there's a provision for that not being required prior to occupancy, which kind of goes against what I've heard coming from the city in terms of wanting to make sure that we're connected. And I know that that's been a point of contention before, so I kind of would want to understand the why behind that, why we're doing that. Why is this case essentially different? And when the time of the all sidewalk comes in, who's floating that bill? Question number 6, parking concerns. Has a study been conducted to indicate what parking needs will be, if what's being proposed will be sufficient? If not, we need to know how such would be addressed. And then last but not least, question number 7, I have serious concerns regarding the environmental issues that are outlined there. And it doesn't appear that there's, at least presented within the agenda, any explanation of how those would be handled. And more importantly, who's gonna pick up that bill? Is that gonna be the taxpayers of Davenport? So those are my questions. I don't know if someone from staff is prepared to answer those.
So I think we'd be prepared to answer a portion, but I'd rather give you a comprehensive answer to all of it via a memo and at the time when it returns from the tabling.
Certainly understood. I would like, once I see if there's anyone else that wants to speak, I would be motioning to table, but I want to see if there's anyone else that has comments. I yield the floor back, Mayor.
Roger, I recognize that, what you're asking for. Alderman Rick Dunn, please.
Property and other issues. As Alderwoman Newton brought up a lot of good points. I guess my question is, we know this is a contaminated site to a big extent. We've, anybody that's been around long enough knows what happened with the Quad City Times building and everything that it took to clean that up. So I do have serious concerns about this. Parking, I agree with the parking. If we're not gonna have enough parking, it seems like, this property is 1.7 acres and we're gonna try to put in a 80-room hotel, this on a pretty small lot. Doesn't seem to me like we're gonna have enough parking. What's the next thing? We're gonna ask for a parking ramp. And, we got parking ramps we can't maintain now. So I just don't want to make this keep going down the road. And hotel motel tax, that's set up to pay for things like the Figge Art Museum, the Putnam Museum, things like that, But the problem is if we keep rebating all these, and we've done this for several, if we keep rebating the hotel motel tax, anything else we want to fund, like the Figge, right? We did this River Renaissance and we had a deal with the Figge for 10 years and it was $1 million a year for 10 years. And then after that, we weren't supposed to pay. Well, then we decided, well, they need it forever. So instead of paying for that out of hotel motel tax, we actually take that out of general fund, which, general fund funds police, fire, services, streets. So I guess, if we're gonna keep giving this money away, we're gonna, everybody else that's asking for other money, because we've had other entities within the last couple of months have come and asked us for more. Everybody keeps asking us for more and we're trying to do with less. And now we're giving that away to do a development. And we've never rebated, in my opinion, I guess, I've been around a long time, we've never rebated a new building that I know of, a new build with hotel motel tax. So I do have some serious concerns, but my biggest concern is where they're trying to build and the contamination of the property. And we really need to look really hard at that. So thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Rick Dunn. Alderman Kelly.
Thank you, sir, I appreciate it. So I want to just ask, I'm not gonna kick a dead horse. I want to agree with Alderwoman Newton. Why? Why this one? One. Two, the location, the contamination, and everything else this is an interesting spot, but I have to delve a little deeper. I forgot that I had looked into this. When I tell y'all to pay attention, y'all better look into these LLCs, who these owners are, who these developers are, who they're connected to, and what's going on. Because to me, that's the why. And the why don't make sense. So I hope that we all get this information disseminated to us, not just Alderwoman Newton. I hope we all get this so that we all can be on record of knowing why this is such a good development on a bad piece of land that they need to do a little more investigating on. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alderman Kelly. Anybody else? Very good. Okay.
Mike,
So I'll go.
the mayor?
Yes, Alderman Grip, please. Sorry.
Yeah, I'd like to speak. Yep, thank you. Hey, so I did just want to talk a little bit about this parcel. It has a long history of trying to be redeveloped. So 2015, prior to me coming on to council, at that time, the Downtown Partnership worked to get the former hotel that was there, the Howard Johnson, torn down, with the idea of being able to build office on that site. And I believe at that time, the city council had approved a TIF agreement for the developers on that site, and they were going to try to get commercial office. And ultimately, they were unsuccessful in doing that, and the site was sold to a different property owner. And that property owner has been working for the last couple of years to try to get to a point where they can build something on that site. Currently, with no building on the site, it is not generating a lot of tax revenue. As people mentioned, it is a difficult site. It does have some contamination, and it does have some flood issues, both of which the property owner is aware of and has a path forward to be able to get it done. I think it should be noted that this is a private property, and so going and doing studies on their property, I don't think is really our place. But we do have a concern that they can be able to build it safely. And as they go through the process, they do have to work with the Corps of Engineers and the other regulatory agencies to make sure that they're properly dealing with both the flooding and the pollution issue that they have there. Now, in the way this economic agreement is set up, all of the risk is on the developer and none of the risk is on the city, because a hotel motel tax does not happen unless they are able to build the hotel and build the mixed use center and start to generate tax revenue. Same thing with the URTE. If in the future date they'll be able to go after that and are successful in it. So there's no risk on the city. If they're able to go through the process and build the 2 buildings on the site, which they're fairly confident they can do, then that property would start to generate quite a bit of revenue, actually over a few $1 million over 10 to 15 years. This is exactly the type of property that you would want to incentivize. It's in your downtown. It's very difficult to develop, and it will only get developed with some sort of incentive. And it should be noted that the initial deal over a decade ago did include TIF, and this developer was very conscientious to get to the point where he could come forward without asking for a TIF deal from the city council. So that's kind of the history of it. Also, they can currently get started on building just a hotel there without going through the incentive deal, but they're really trying to get a higher level finish, a nicer hotel, a convention center, and really fill out the space. Another concern that I heard was regarding parking. And so because of that contamination underground, the developer's really limited in where on the property they can build a building. And so the majority of that property has to remain flat surface with surface level parking. And, please remember that, being a hotel chain, the hotel partner is very concerned about meeting their own internal parking requirements so that they can adequately serve their guests. And we also have on-street parking on both sides of 4th Street that is currently not being utilized, that will be utilized when you actually have buildings that are facing the street. So I know there's a lot of questions that were raised. I think that there are ready answers to those questions. I could go through most of them and answer them, I think, but I won't do that. That's why I think hearing the consideration and not tabling, and if during the second week we don't feel like we have enough information, we certainly have the opportunity to table it then. But I think all of the questions you have, the developer over the last 2 years has had to answer those questions, and they should be readily available to the council through the staff and through the developer. And that's what I would do, is just encourage you to ask your questions, have them presented publicly next week. And if still there are remaining questions that you don't feel comfortable moving it forward, we could table at that point. But I don't see a need to table it initially. That's it. I'll leave it at that. Thanks for listening.
Thank you. Alderman Tim Dunn.
Just a question. We talked about this. Now, number one, you're in a flood zone. Number two, you have contamination. Do we run out of land in the city of Davenport not to build somewhere else? Thank you.
Sorry. Thank you. Alderwoman Newton. Alderwoman Newton.
Thank you, Mayor. I would motion to table this agenda item number 4 for 2 cycles.
There's a motion and a cycle to table for 2 cycles. Mr. Krupp, please call the roll to table for 2 cycles. This is item number 4 on community development.
Newton,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Burkholder,
Yes.
Ardon,
Yes.
Jobson,
Yes.
Grip.
No.
I'm sorry, that was no.
No.
T-Dunn,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
and Reinhardt.
Yes.
8 yeses and 1 no, Your Honor.
Very good. The item is tabled for 2 cycles. Thank you. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion is second to adjourn. All in favor? Aye. Have a good day.